Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Erin Lynham, and I work here at SRBC as a policy specialist, and I'm the agency's environmental justice coordinator. Today's webinar is informal, and it's meant to serve as sort of a Q&A session for SRBC's Stream and Watershed Enhancement Grant, as we are about 2 weeks out from the grant's closing date. The webinar is being recorded and will be posted on our website within a few days. I ask that you please mute your microphones through the brief presentation, unless you have a specific question to ask. I'm going to do a brief review of the grant itself and then leave the majority of today's meeting open for questions and answers about the grant, the application, or project itself. So this is our second year of the Stream and Watershed Enhancement Grant, which is a mini grant of up to $5,000 in which SRBC offers support to organizations whose work is in keeping with our mission. We do this by providing funding opportunities for community-based environmental and water resources projects or events that improve, restore, or protect our local watersheds. The total grant fund is $150,000, and individual grants are capped at $5,000, which allows for up to 30 grants to be awarded each grant round. The grant opened on August 7th and extends through its close date of October 31st. And for awarded grants, monies may be used between August 7th of this year all the way through to the end of December 2025. We have two categories of eligibility. We have project eligibility and applicant eligibility. To be an eligible project, all projects must be within the Susquehanna River Basin and have significant ties to the water resources of the basin, or the lands that protect the basin's waters, or the communities tied to both. All projects must successfully propose either reasonable activities and outcomes focused on efforts to improve, restore, or protect watersheds within the river basin, or operational or financial support for watershed volunteer membership or outreach events in the basin. And we'd like to point out that there is no cash match required for project eligibility. Applicant eligibility is very straightforward in 4 categories. 1, watershed groups. 2, educational programs or school districts. 3, a nonprofit 501c3 or equivalent. And 4, municipal or county governments. And this would include conservation districts. For this grant, eligible projects that offer an intersection between watershed support and engagement with environmental justice areas will be prioritized. The information on this slide is outlined in the grant guidelines document available on the grant's webpage. An application will be scored as outlined here, up to 20 points for a thorough project summary, up to 10 points for any collaborative effort with local communities or community engagement, up to 10 points for a reasonable and cost-efficient budget, and up to 10 bonus points for a project that engages with or serves environmental justice communities. The grant guidelines document provides example projects that would be eligible applications, but this list can and should be expanded into diverse locations, communities, and even the types of projects themselves. Example projects include, but are not limited to, watershed education, outreach, or support for youth groups or communities, in-stream and streamside debris management and collection, restoration of overgrazed streamside lands or degraded streams, water-based recreation opportunities, headwater stream protection efforts, riparian buffer enhancement, tree plantings on cleared or impacted lands, rain gardens, community gardens to reduce impervious surfaces. And again, these are just examples. The list could be far broader. A reminder, please mute your microphone. Somebody's got theirs open. Thank you. When putting together your project budget, note that eligible costs are for direct project implementation and select indirect costs like contracting services, expansion of partnerships, equipment rentals and purchase, or food purchasing for volunteer outreach events. There are several ineligible costs provided in the grant guidelines document, but the ones that stand out as prohibited are routine regulatory obligations, permitting, land development projects, lobbying, and personal expenses. Important information about the application process is provided over the next few slides. On this slide, you can see where on our website you can access the grants page. Click on the Our Work tab and drop down to the grants hyperlink. Once you've clicked on grants, you'll arrive to our overall grants page, where you then click on the Stream and Watershed Enhancement Grant Program link circled in blue. This takes you to that grants host page where all documents, templates, guidance, and grant information are provided in that box on the right side of the web page. The red circle here shows you where to click to view the grant application itself and to submit an application if you've got an eligible project. So when you click on the View Application link circled in red, you're redirected to the application software webpage hosted by Amplifund, who we have a contract with. This is not SRBC software. If you have an existing account with Amplifund, like if you have applied for grants with us in the past, you can log in using your username and password shown in the upper right red circle where it says login. Most people don't have an account, and you'll see in this upper left screenshot that there is no option to apply for the grant. So at that point, if that's what you're seeing, you'll just need to register to get an account with Amplifund. They'll verify your registration and confirm that you're a registered user, and then you can apply. Once that's done, you can log in and you'll see the second screenshot on this page on the bottom right side of this slide. Your name will be at the top right, and you'll have the ability to click the apply button circled in red. There you can see my name, my agency, and I have the ability to click the apply button. On this slide, you can see where on our grants page we have provided an application user guide that basically walks you through the application step by step. That being said, we also made sure to keep this application very straightforward and simple, in keeping with it being a mini grant program. Please note that while you're in Amplifund, make sure to click the Save button as you are working, because using the hyperlinks within the application, and you'll see them, they'll close the application, which is just not great software design, but that's just what it is. It'll close your application and move you over to that hyperlinked web page. So if you haven't hit the Save button, you'll lose the information you've entered. And there's nothing that we can do to control that, because this is a function of Amplifund. So just overall messages, just keep clicking Save. So this slide just shows the outreach that we performed for this grant, including technical assistance. We have one series of dates left for technical assistance highlighted in orange, where I offer direct technical assistance to anyone. And that's October 22nd and 23rd of next week. We also had these sessions in August and in September. On these dates, a request for assistance can be directed to me specifically, and I'll work with you and through those requests on a case-by-case system via email or phone. And we have had applicants or potential applicants utilize those dates to email or call me on the phone, and it's worked out really nicely. So we've got one more week of that next, one more session of that next week. So in summary, the grant opened on August 7th, closes on October 31st. Individual grants are capped at $5,000. Eligible projects in or serving environmental justice areas will be prioritized. We hope to announce the awards in December, but depending on how many applications we get and how much time it takes to process them, it could be early January. And then award funds must be used by December 31st, 2025. Email questions can be directed to grants@srbc.gov. Our grant website is listed on this page. I think you're probably all familiar with it because you had to register for this webinar and you would have done that through the grants webpage. So at this point, we'll move to any questions that I can help answer, or any issues, or anything you want to discuss about a project. Just unmute your microphone and we can talk directly. I see we have one question in the chat. Will the recording be shared? Yes. As soon as it's downloaded from the cloud and we edit it, it'll be up on our webpage within a few days.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
So, we were planning on using this grant, if funded, to kind of use it as a Kickstarter for multiple projects, specifically like culvert replacements. Part of that would include writing, or like permitting, but not the actual permitting fees, just the staff time spent on permitting. Would that be permittable through this grant?
So I'll tell you that that question has come up before, and this is the answer that I gave. Staff time in any aspect of a project is not prohibited for fund eligibility. However, when I'm looking at budgets, when our review team is looking at budgets and proposed projects for a $5,000 mini grant, and we see that a portion of that budget is set aside for staff time, that may influence the criteria scoring against other projects that are truly dedicating that $5,000 to the project itself without staff time built in. So it's not prohibited, but it might affect scoring, and it truly just depends on what kind of projects we're getting, what kind of projects we see, and how those budgets are set up, and how that money is proposed to be allocated, if that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you.
Yep.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Hi, Melody.
Hello. I have a quick question. We're hoping to use this grant to provide a youth outreach program. And part of the outreach program would be involved in creating a packet of information about a specific watershed topic for these kids. And I'm wondering, do you guys prefer if that information be provided with the grant, or is that something that we can create as a part of the grant? Does that make sense?
Yep. No, that's a good question. So the answer is you do not have to like outline the actual pamphlet itself in the application. You can provide narrative detail about your plans for creating this outreach pamphlet. That's appropriate. What we would ask for is that at the end of the grant cycle, when the monies have been awarded and the product has been produced, that you share a copy of that produced product with us so that, and you'll see this in a grant agreement if your project gets awarded. In the grant agreement, the contract, there's a clause that says that any produced informational pamphlet or packet or social media post be shared with the commission so that we can then use it to tell a story about where our grant money is going and what it produced and what it's helping with. So that's when we'd be looking for just a copy of what it is that you produced.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep,
I have one more question, if that's all right.
go for it.
So for a larger grant with larger funds, typically I would produce a budget that is very generalized and kind of has some estimates, but not exact numbers. But
Yep.
for a mini grant, I haven't done this before. How specific do you want the budgeting to be for this?
Yeah, so if you have specifics, that helps in this the review. So what I was saying is that the more detail you can provide in the budget, the easier it is for the review team to score that budget, because that's 10 points of the application, right? It does not have to be exact costs, because we found in round one, those costs end up changing from the time a budget is estimated to the time invoices are signed and paid, right? Everybody knows that. So estimates are fine, absolutely. But detail is good because it does help the review team see where, even though it's $5,000, it helps to see where that money is proposed to be going towards that project.
Okay, so something where I produce like a general estimate, but have like all the categories of the things that we're funding, that would be sufficient.
Yes.
As opposed, okay, perfect.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Yep. I'll just make one generalized announcement. So when I look in Amplifund, I see a lot of started applications that are unsubmitted. So I just want to remind the people on the call that you do have to hit that final submit, save and submit button for it to come through as an actual completed application for review for our team. And when it gets to the end of the grant and I see a bunch of unsubmitted, I will reach out to people and make sure that they didn't start something, and then, you know, if they backed away and didn't want it, that's fine. But if they started it and thought they submitted it but didn't, you know, we want to make sure that comes through, because we want to see competition, we want to see diverse projects. And so it's just a general reminder, save, and then at the very end, make sure you hit the submit button. If there's no other questions, and I'll stay on the line until 10:30 if anyone thinks of anything. Just know you can look at the screen, you can see, you can email the grants email, you can email me directly at elinem@srbc.gov. That's the easiest way to reach me. Phone calls are fine. Usually we start with an email and then it moves to phone calls and we can talk through project details or application questions, but truly it's a simple application. I haven't had anyone struggle with it in any capacity. So I really do encourage people to apply. It does not take a lot of time. We designed it that way specifically for a diverse pool of applicants. So I'll thank you for joining us today, and I'll just stay here till 10:30, but if you're done, have a great day.